next problem, when we look at it, we know that area equals length times width, right? So when it's word problems, we want to see if we can come up with a general formula, then plug in what we know. So if we know that the area of the whole, the area of the vault ceiling and the outer steel wall, so that means the area of the whole entire thing, right, is 1,664. We can plug that in the area spot, square feet. I'll insert units later. We know that the length of this, right, the length, if right from here to here is 20, and we know that each little side is x, then it's 20 plus x plus x. So this whole entire value over here is 20 plus 2x. So we can write, doesn't really matter if we call it length or width, shorter, we'll do width. So we'll have 20 plus 2x, so that's one side. Similarly, over here, if we look out, and we're trying to get the length, if we know from here to here is 40 feet, we still need to add on that little piece of that outer edge of the vault. So it's 40 plus an x distance plus an x distance is 2x, right? So it's 40 plus 2x. Okay, so then we can start to FOIL. And when we do that, we will go like this, distribute, right? 40 times 20, 40 times 2x. So we get 800 plus, let's see, 800 plus 40x. Then we do 2x times 20 and 2x times 2x. So we get, let's see, 40 times 20 is 800, 40, oh, oops, 40 times 2, we got 80x. And 2 times 20, we got 40x. And 2x times 2x, we get 4x squared. Very hard to write neatly with this. Okay, so we have 1,664. The total area of this vault is length times width. So the length is 40 plus the x, or 40 plus 2x, times its width, which is the 20 plus the x, or 20 plus 2x. So now we're going to FOIL distribute, get all terms on one side. So that's why we minus 1,664 to the other side. X4. So now we have 0 is equal to, on the right hand side, I'm going to simplify and combine like terms and go in standard form. So 4x squared is first. When we look at this, we have 80x and 40x. So we have 120x. And then we have 800 minus 1,664. So we have negative 864 left. All terms are on one side, 0 on the other. Now we're going to try to factor. Always look for a GCF. So let's look at this trinomial. Is there a number, letter, or both that we can divide out? We can take out a 4. So we will have 4 times the quantity x squared plus 30x minus 216 equals 0. Doesn't matter if I write the equals over here, but your factors are on one side, zeros on the other, right? Okay, now I'm going to continue breaking down. I look inside and say, can I break this trinomial down any further? I'm just staring inside this box right now. So that's what I pretend I only see. So A is 1, B is 30, C is negative 216. Is there a combo that multiplies to A times C that adds to B? So is there a combination that multiplies to 1 times negative 216? So that would be that multiplies to negative 216 that adds to 30. So this combination is negative 6 and 30. So then we would have x minus 6. Oops, let's parentheses x plus 30. Don't forget to bring down that GCF we took out in the beginning, the 4 equal to 0. We set each factor equal to 0. If we set 4 equal to 0, we don't get an x value. If we set x minus 6 equal to 0, if we set x minus 6 equal to 0, we would add 6 to both sides and get x equals 6. If we set x plus 30 equal to 0, we would have to subtract 30 to solve and we would get negative 30. Now this is a real world problem. If it had nothing to do with real world or words behind it, 6 and negative 30 would be our answers. But because there's units and it's words, distance, we need to make sense of it. You can't have a negative amount of feet, right? So our answer has to be 6. And we're just going to throw in the units feet. So what is the width of the outer steel vault? So this little chunk in here on all these sides, the width is 6 feet. So that's a pretty thick reinforced wall, right? Okay, let's try the next one. So a picture is inside a frame, has an area of 375 centimeters square centimeters. What's the width of the frame? So it's a similar question, but how we do this problem is a little bit different. So when you look at this, it first gives us the area, right, of this inside. Now, the area of the picture, we know the area of a picture, right? So if I'm just working with green, I'll do that in this green box over here. So we're just working in terms of the green right now, right? So if we know area is length times width, so if we know area is length times width, and we know the area of the picture, so now we're just referring to the picture. If the picture is 375, we know that its length, right, is, so if we're just looking for this little pink part, right, that short part, if we know this whole entire bottom thing's 20, and we know this little piece is x, and we know this little piece is x, and I'm asking myself, the length is this dark part that I'm highlighting right now, that would be 20 minus this x would get us that small length piece. So that's why for this problem, we would say 20 minus 2x. It's a minus. Similarly, the width, and again, we're looking at this green part, the width, so I interchange length and width, but this other side, the width, right? We're not going to say the width is 30. It's 30 minus x, right? This is shorter. This side is shorter than 30. So it's 30 minus x, or 30 minus 2x. So now we're going to solve for x. So when we distribute over here, right, 20 times 30, 20 times negative 2, negative 2x times 30, negative 2x times negative 2x. On the right side, when we distribute and simplify, which you all are really good at, we would get 600 minus 100x. Now I've distributed and simplified, plus 4x squared. And then we have the 375 over here. Now if we move the 375 to the right, because we want 0 on one side. Remember, I'm not just turning this to a 975. We're subtracting 375. So we would end up with 600 minus 375, which would get us 225. And I'm going to put that positive 225 over here because I'm going to write this in standard form. It's a positive value. I have a 4x squared. I have minus 100. Now, just like the last problem, I look at this and say, okay, 0 is on one side, all terms are on the other. It's simplified standard form. I'm going to try to factor and set my factors to 0. Is there GCF? They all don't divide evenly by 4. They all don't divide evenly by 2. There's no GCF. So then we know that A is 4, right? A is 4, B is negative 100, and C is 225. So we're looking for a combo that multiplies to A times C. So 4 times 225 is 900, right? What multiplies to A times C? So 4 times 225 is 900. That adds to B. That adds to negative 100. Oops. So that combo is going to be negative 90 and negative 10. Negative 90 times negative 10 is positive 900, and they add to negative 100. So then we have our factors, x minus 90 x minus 10 equal to 0. I like to do it without grouping, so I do factors over front. My A of my trinomial I'm breaking down, so that's a 4. Simplify, swing out. So 90 over 4, or sorry, 90 over 4 is 45 over 2. And then the 2 swings in front of the x, so we'd have 2x minus 45. 10 over 4 becomes 5 over 2. So the 2 comes in front of the x, so we'd have 2x minus 5. And now if we set each of these equal to 0, this is a 45. If we set each of these equal to 0, we would get x is 45 over 2, right? Add 45 divided by 2, which is 22.5. And if we set this factor equal to 0, we add 5, divide by 2, so we get 5 over 2, which is 2.5. So when we set that equal to 0, we get 45 over 2, which is 22.5. When we set this factor equal to 0, we get 5 over 2, which is 2.5. Now, if we're talking about the what's the width of the frame, you're talking about what is x itself. Now, if we see that, we know that it can't be 22.5, right? Because if this side is 20 and it has a little x and a little x, it doesn't make sense that the x could be 22.5 if the entire length, including x, is 20. So it has to be the 2.5, and then we'll throw our units in there, centimeters. So that one you kind of have to make sense of it. Okay, one more video for the last 2 problems.